Jimmy, how are you, sir? Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you guys can hear me. Alberto, welcome back, my friend. You guys hear me okay? Yes, Mr. Pickles, you are the first one. Glad you can make it. Thank you for being here. Yeah, I hope everyone is having a good day. Earlier, I was outside doing some gardening, and then the rain came, so I had to go back inside. So I figure I'll come on in and say hello and talk a little bit. Yeah, how is everybody doing? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you guys are. Man, in Texas, we have so much rain lately. So I think, it's supposedly in April, we call it April shower, but I think it's changed to May shower now. So we get rain like crazy. And for the next week, and maybe a week after that, it's projected to rain again. So it's raining right now. My plants are struggling like crazy. I mean, they're like overwater. The leaves are all yellow, and the growth is really slow. But I got everything all transplanted into the garden. I just did an update on the pepper series. So if you guys haven't catch that, check it out. You see the current state of the plant right now. They're looking okay, but by this time, I should already get pods on many, many of the plants. But this year, I'm a little bit late. Jimmy, how many plants do I have this year? I think, gosh, I would say close to 30. A lot of them are duplicates. So, maybe 15 varieties and 30 plants, something like that. I'm trying to keep it, low because usually I grow too many, and then it's just a lot of work. So now I try to limit the number of peppers that I grow, and then in the summertime I save a few of the raised beds for other things like like vegetables that I want to grow. So yeah, this year's gonna be fun. It hasn't started out too well for me, but I think it should pick up. Later in this season. Um, yeah. So how are you guys doing? Have you transplanted everything outside? I think in some places, summer is starting to get there, right? For us, I mean, summer finally here. It's a little bit strange. So we're still in the low 70s, which is unusual because we're almost in June now. So usually by this time we're in like the 90 degrees Fahrenheit, and it gets really hot. But yeah, I'm not complaining. I mean, the cool weather kind of like prevent mosquitoes from happening. So far the mosquito numbers have been a little low, which is good. Oh man, Gizmo already have ripe peppers in Florida. Florida is just a great place to grow peppers. It's just the weather is fantastic. I think further south you probably can grow it all year, right? Graham Smith, I have Socrates, F1 cucumber hydroponic. Follow the growing guide. The leaves are turning yellow and drying out. Any suggestion? Uh, did you check your pH and stuff like that? What's it like? Is there aeration in the water? Um, uh, Sometimes, yellow leaves could be caused by many reasons. It could be lack of certain nutrients. It could be imbalanced nutrients. It could be nutrients lockout. So it's really difficult to say. But yeah, check your pH and see what's that. It should be around 5.9 to 6. That's usually the best range. What are you feeding the plants? When I grew Socrates, they're really easy, and I only use one nutrient, and it's the AeroGuard nutrients, which is I use 5 milliliter per gallon, and that's it. I keep it really simple. I'm actually growing a whole bunch of tomatoes this year, guys. I have uh, 3 tomatoes in hydroponic and 4 tomatoes in soil. And yeah, they're producing right now. I mean, I'm growing a variety called the Berries Crazy Cherry. That one always produces a lot. And then I'm also growing the Blonde Kaufchen, which is a German variety. And that thing has like, I think like 50 to 60 fruits per cluster of tomatoes. So I'm getting lots and lots of fruits. The thing is, I'm not sure because it rains so much, but it doesn't taste that good right now. I prefer the one I'm growing indoor, which is the Kangstar cherry. It's a lot larger than the berries, and it's a lot larger than the blonde Kaufchen in size. It's almost like uh, what would I say, like a golf ball size sometimes. And they're fantastic. They're great. They taste so good. Sean, your reapers is on your 3rd year. The pests and diseases are in pain. Yes, for sure. In the summertime, you know what? Speaking of pests, I just went outside yesterday and I picked off about 20 hornworm eggs off of my tomato. This is the time when they start coming. So I spot them early. I was like, I saw eggs on it, and I keep looking and looking, and I found at least 20 hornworm eggs on my tomatoes. So yeah, I'm gonna keep checking every day. I found a few on my tobacco plant, so I picked them off already. But yeah, hornworm. I think hornworm is gonna be a huge issue for me this year. Advanced nutrients, pH, perfect, 3 parts, microgrow and bloom. Yeah, that sounds like the right choice. Yeah, how are you mixing it? There's sometimes there's a certain way you should mix it, and if you mix it in the wrong order, then there's a nutrients lockout. And when there's a nutrients lockout, it could cause the plants to be, to have trouble pulling in the nutrients it needs, and then that's when your leaves start to yellow and it looks sick, and it's just not gonna do well. But yeah, cucumbers should do really well in hydroponic. Most varieties that I find, especially the Socrates, which is like they're like the Persian hybrids. Cheers, everybody. Uh, Thanks for joining me today. Let's see. Have you ever grown tomatillos? I have not grown tomatillos, but I'm growing ground cherries. Actually, I don't grow ground cherries. They just grow on their own every season. And, when the seeds just fall all over the place, and then I just pull them out of the yard and I put them into the raised beds, and they just grow like crazy. Drew, my friend, thank you so much for the donation. It's good to see you again. Let's see. I have 2 ghost pepper plants outside right now, but the aphids attacked them pretty bad. I tried Dr. Earth products, but they didn't work. Going to try baking soda technique. Any suggestion? Drew, I have aphids all the time. I don't spend excess amount on anything. All I do is I use neem oil and soap. That's it. Neem oil is very cheap to buy, and sometimes one bottle can last you multiple seasons. And what I do is I use a 32-ounce bottle. I use like the spoons, like the plastic spoon that people trash. I collect those as to label, but I also use it to measure my stuff that I use. So I use 2 spoons of the neem oil, 1 spoon of the soap, and I fill up a 32-ounce bottle. I shake it up and I spray the plants up and down all over the place, and that's it. It should get rid of them like right away. The problem with aphids is that you have to spray the entire plant. If you have 1 or 2 survive, they'll come right back. So if you're able to separate your plants, then separate them first, treat that plant, and then get it away from the rest. But yeah, it's really easy. I mean, I have aphids all the time. Actually, I have aphids a few days ago on my tobacco plant, And all I did was I went out there, I sprayed the leaves upside, down, sideways, all over the place, and then I crushed them, and that's it. They're done. The thing with aphids, guys, you don't even have to spray anything. You can go out there and crush the aphids, right, on the plant. Just crush them and leave them there. And the other aphids can sense the death of the other aphids, and they'll migrate off. They actually, they can sense danger, and they'll just go away. So yeah, any kind of soap. I use dish soap, like the Dawn dish soap. But if you want to go use the organic soap, you can use that as well. But I wasn't picky. I used the dish soap, where you just wash, for washing dishes. When you spray it, Drew, make sure to spray it when the sun is not out. So usually do it in the afternoon when the sun is down, uh, and then give it a spray. That way it doesn't burn your leaf. Yeah, Dawn works fine. Some people are maybe a little bit picky. They don't want anything that's not organic on the plant. But yeah, I use the dish soap, Dawn, or whatever is that, Palmolive or whatever. It doesn't matter. It still works the same way. The only thing that soap does is that because soil separates itself from water, and you need the soap, the foam and stuff like that to shake it up, sort of like attached it to the plants. That's what soap is for. Rich, the pepper guru, good to have you, my friend. Yes, I love crushing the aphids, and when I crush them, like I crush them with vengeance. Like, you crazy animal, you. Yeah, they're really annoying. I get them all the time, but I don't worry about them too much. I mean, if there's just a few, I mean, I think my plants, every plant has like a few aphids on it. It's not a big deal for me, so I just leave it. But if it becomes an infestation where you can see the whole plant is filled with aphids, then I start going to crush. I mean, the crushing. Just go and crush them. And again, the aphids can sense that the other aphids are dead, and they'll leave the plant. They'll go to the next one. So and if you can't get rid of all of them, then you may bring out the spray. The spray will work. So it's very easy. Make sure, if you're gonna spray, make sure you spray upside down. All on top of the leaves, bottom of the leaves. Crush the one that you can see, and they'll be gone. But I got really lucky this year because I have a gazillion of these parasitic wasps everywhere. I don't know how they're in the garden, but they're always there. So every time there's aphids, there's always those wasps around. So sometimes I don't want to kill the aphids because the wasps feed on them. So there's a balance in your garden. And I think Rich, the pepper guru here, I mean, his knowledge is amazing, guy. He's in the channel, so follow him and use some of the method that he does. I think it'll help you guys, because he's mostly organic, using nature to treat itself and all that stuff. And I find that is the best way. Sometimes you use like the artificial stuff, you create more problem in the future. All right, let me go to the the chat for a second, guys. What is your go-to fertilizer for pepper plants for fruiting or vegetation? You know what? I keep things really simple. So the only fertilizer that I use is the fish fertilizer. Like the fish emulsion and stuff like that. You can buy those at Home Depot. You can buy them at Lowe's. And a huge bottle can last a long time because you only use like a tablespoon per gallon of water. And usually that's basically all I use, and the rest is just from like compost, and sometimes I buy worm casting because I can't make my own. But usually I have a huge compost bin that I make, and it's from cuttings and from stuff that I old plants and vegetables that I don't use, because I grow a lot of vegetables. So when they're no longer good, I'll cut them off and put it in the compost. So I have a huge compost bin, and I use that all the time. That's usually how I feed my peppers. Besides the fish emulsion and stuff and occasional worm casting. Have you used Fox Farm nutrients for hydro? Yes, I've used Fox Farm I've used the GH and the General Hydroponic Flora series. I've used let's see what else, Master Blend, the Dynagrow, and Dyna Bloom and all that stuff. I think I use a bunch of the very you know, it's very common ones. Talon, yes, that is a punching bag over there. Yes, it is a punching bag. Peter, yes, soil is the key to growing all things. If you take care of your soil, it'll take care of your plants. You are absolutely right, my friend. Do plants in 5-gallon buckets topple in heavy wind? It could. It could do that, but also, you know, mine never, you know, usually don't, because uh, if you you know, provide them enough sun, they will grow, like, you know, pretty wide and pretty strong. And the only way they would topple is if the plants grow enormous, and then your container is sort of like dry. There's no water, there's no moisture, and it becomes very light in the bucket. Then it would tip over when there's heavy rain. I mean, heavy wind and stuff like that. So yes, it can. Also, leggy plants can also flip over easily, but usually leggy plants will break. But if they topple, I mean, they're really strong, and that means they grow really well, and the bottom, it doesn't have enough weight. But you know, sometimes you can put 2 or 3 of them next to each other, and then that will help, you know, with them from falling over. Do you know about indoor growing and cheap lighting? You know, lighting is a lot cheaper now than it's ever been. You know, invest in a good light setup, because you know, sometimes you buy one that is not good enough, it's not strong enough for your tent, then you have to spend money to replace it. So get a good light setup. They're not as expensive as they used to be, but yeah, a good light setup is a good investment. You can actually go cheaper on the tent, but don't go cheap on the light. And then the rest you can do yourself, like, you know, like hydroponic buckets, you can make them by yourself, so you can save money there. SC Arn, when crossing chilies, have you seen a link to the traits you get from the mother plant being more powerful than the pollen from the as color and flavor? You know, I don't know too much about those scientifically. You know, normally what I do is I know that you know, the dominant traits, like the red color and stuff like that, will be usually the result of the offspring. So I do have a chart that I go with. It's you can look it up. You just Google pepper breeding chart, and it would tell you which varieties would be most compatible with each other. So you can go by that and cross your own plant. Guys, I speaking of pepper plants, look at what I have here. So I've been growing this one in a can. There's a challenge going on in Facebook. So I chose this beautiful plant right here. Look how small it is. And it has like white, purple, green, and you know, really interesting variety of pepper. So this plant is actually fruiting right now. There's a flower on here, multiple flowers. So it's going to be a very pretty plant. So this one here, I'm going to keep small, and I actually have another one outside. I'm going to let that grow to full size. So I'm going to show you guys in the update in the future. It's a very beautiful variety. I got this one from my friend Charles. Charles used to be very active on social media, like the pepper lovers community in the past, but I haven't seen him on in a while. So do I have cacti? I used to, but the Texas winter storm killed it. But I still have a lot of succulents. I grow a bunch of succulents there because they're so easy. Have I tried growing roses in hydroponic? No, I have not, but I tried to propagate roses in hydroponic, and it worked really well. I propagate roses, and then I started out in hydroponic, and when the root is really nice and big, then I moved it outside. But I have not grown roses completely in hydroponic. Jesse, good to have you, my friend. Floria, what variety is this? This is called the Pink Tiger. I have a label right here. Pink Tiger. So I think the Pink Tiger is it has I don't remember the exact cross, but it's what is it? Goodness, there's a variety that they use to cross, like the Pink Panther, the Pink Tiger, and all that stuff. So it's an interesting variety. It, it's the fruits are really small too, so it's very pretty. Are you doing the upside? What is it? The upside pepper challenge? No, I don't think I'm doing that one. Right now, I'm doing the lemon starburst contest. I'm doing the pepper in a can. I'm doing the poblano, and thanks to the pepper guru, I actually got a variety of the fatale, the yellow fatale. And man, I had some fatale seeds. They never came up. And somehow the pepper guru just read my mind. He sent me some. I didn't know it was going to be there. But yeah, I started it, and now it just sprouted. It sprouted in 7 days. So I'm going to use that as the contest plan very soon. So because I started so late, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it into hydroponic, and I'm going to get it to, like, this size, and then I'm going to transplant it outside so that it can grow and catch up with the rest of the plants outside. Talon, thank you so much, my friend, for the donation. In regards to the general hydroponic, do the NPK add up between the 3 containers? Yes, they do. They do add up. But the cool thing about there's a advantage and disadvantage to the GH series, and the advantage is that it's 3 parts. So what that means is it allows you to mix the parts with a different amount to feed the plants at certain stages. Like, for example, at vegetative stage, you want to boost the nitrogen, so you can actually put more micro and less of the bloom. And then once the plants start to flower, then you put more of the bloom and less of the grow. So you can actually mix it around and for the to match what the plants is looking for. So it's great in that way. And you can really dial it in and make your plants really happy. But the reason I don't use the GH series anymore is because I didn't want to mess with all that. I want it nice and simple. One part, I don't care for maximizing yield or like having so much, because in hydroponic in general, they yield a lot already. So I really don't care. So I just switched to the Dino Grow, which is 1 part for the grow. And then once they start to bloom, I use 1 part of the bloom, and that's it, So keep things simple, because I like simplicity. Let's see. Have I ever planted rocado? Yes, I have planted multiple rocado varieties. And, I'm usually not very successful when growing rocados. I think it's because I may have started them so late. They usually take a very long time to produce peppers. So I usually start them late, and then by the time they get to the winter time, they barely started to bloom, and then the cold weather come, and that's it for them. So I grew the pineapple rocado, and what else did I grow? I grew I forgot what other one, but they're nice and fruity, and I tried to grow the manzano, and it never worked. One of these days, one of these days, I'm gonna need to grow that again. Manzanos are really cool. They look like or they call them manzano because they look like an apple, but they're really neat. Avocado in general are really cool because they have black seeds, and it is like the most interesting thing. And I love the taste as well. All of them taste really good to me. Let's see, can I use Grow Big for hydroponic nutrients? They have Grow Big hydroponic specific ones, so you can use that, of course. But if you're wondering if you can use hydroponic nutrients in soil, yes, you can use hydroponic nutrients in soil, and I do that all the time. So it happens, it works. The only thing is, I wouldn't recommend using it so often. Use it like once a month or something like that, because hydroponic nutrients does have residue, so it does create buildup in the soil. So if you keep watering hydroponic solutions in the soil, eventually the soil is going to go bad. But yeah, organic is the best way to go when it comes to soil gardening. Like make a good raised bed full of organic matter soil, and then each season you do like top dressing and stuff like that, so you can reuse the soil over and over and over. And actually, plants grow really well in places of plants that grew before it. Because the plants before it would put down roots and it spreads all over the place. And what it does, it creates air pocket in the soil. It's almost like a road map. And then when you grow other plants on top of it, it actually shoot roots down in the same pattern, and it goes in places where the plants were before. So it's a really cool thing. Let's see. Jacob, I've been growing Thai chilies for 4 months now, but no flowers yet. Any advice? 4 months. It depends what variety you're growing, and sometimes there's so many reasons why. Like for example, for me personally, I have a plant that has been grown for 5 months, and it's really, really small. And that's because I put the plants outside so early, the temperature wasn't right, but also it rained so much that my bucket keeps getting filled up. And with the constant rain, and then I just leave the plant there without messing with it. So it's sort of like I drown it in water, and it's still about this size after 4 months. So if your plants are just not growing well after so long, the problem is the soil. It could be because it's too compacted, or you water too much. And it could also because of certain pests or diseases. But usually too much water and compacted soil will prevent your plant from growing. And after 4 months, 4 months is okay. Some Thai varieties will take 4 to 5 months to grow to its full size. Is it a big plant? If it's a small plant and it's 4 months old, then that's a problem. If it's a huge plant and it's 4 months old, it's okay. Just wait. It will eventually put out flowers. The temperature getting low in the nights. What temps do peppers stop growing? Usually below 55 degrees, they don't grow that much. So a little bit, 60 degrees up to 80 degrees, they will grow faster. But the optimum temperature is around 75 degrees. 70 to 75 degrees, even up to 80s. That's when they do their best. When it goes above 80 to 90, that's going to be a little bit of a struggle, because these are they're tropical plants, so they usually go between 75 to 85 degrees, in that range. That would be best for them. Some varieties can withstand really hot temperature, like most birds variety, some Thai varieties, but the super hots are really picky. They prefer the lower temperature, like 75 degrees Fahrenheit. That's when they would do the best. Yeah, Jacob, I think mine is going to do fine, because I actually went out there yesterday and I fixed the soil. I was like, what, this poor plant, it's been struggling like crazy. So I went out there and I dig the plant up, and sure enough, the roots are just this small. Usually there's roots everywhere, but the roots, it's just a very small mass of root. So I fixed the soil up, give it a new pot, and I think it's going to do fine in the next few months. Let's see, Frank, getting a bunch of holes on my pepper leaves, the plant leaves. What do you think? Recommend to fight the bugs? Uh, Sometimes holes are okay. It depends what holes you're getting. Like sometimes you get like this cutout, like a circular cutout on your pepper plant. And that's usually from leaf cutter bees. Leaf cutter bees will cut like little circular holes on the outside, and it moves towards the inside. And those are fine. If you see those, just leave them, because the bees are just cutting those to make the nest. But if you have holes like in the center, holes in the center of the leaves are usually because the bugs are eating it, like caterpillars. Caterpillars, like a worms, hornworms, when they're baby, they eat the middle. You can see like circular holes in the middle. Sometimes you can have beetles that like the cucumber beetles. They chew on your peppers as well, and they would chew holes in there. So find out what kind of pest you have before you actually treat it, because you might treat the wrong things and kill the beneficial stuff. So I would try to figure it out first before I start treating for pests. Sometimes it could be slugs. Slugs is also a problem. They do eat holes in your leaves. They also eat your leaves in general. They just eat the whole leaves. If you have slugs, try beer. Put a container out at the bottom of your pepper plants. Pour some used beer or beer that you don't use, or cheap beers, and pour it into that little container, and the slugs will just climb in, and they'll just drown. And in the morning, you see a whole bunch of them. Snails too. Snails will fall into the beer, and it works. Yeah, for treating slugs, beer is one of the best way to control it. In the method that doesn't affect the plant too much. What is the best humidity for peppers grown inside? You know what? I really don't know, because I've never messed with humidity inside. Whatever is in my garage, I just leave it as that. I never measure it, and it's been doing great. As long as the temperature is correct, and you feed the plants right, I never mess with humidity stuff. And maybe I should, to maximize my yield and stuff like that. What kind of beer do slugs prefer? Any kind of beer, just use a cheap one. Bush Light. Yeah, they're not very picky. They just love to drink. Sourdough. I need to try that. What's Arequita? Sorry, I don't know how to say that word. Giant ricotta variety. Yeah, maybe I should. Uh, my friend just gave me these purple or chocolate ricotta variety that he actually crossed. It looks very interesting, and I've been meaning to grow it. So I think I'm going to grow it towards the end of the season. That way I can have it for the winter time. What is the hottest pepper you're growing? Right now, the hottest variety that I'm growing is probably the Jay's Peach Goes crossed with the Primo. I tried one last year. Man, it lit me up. It's very, very spicy. Um, Also, just like the Jay's Peach Ghost Scorpion is very hot as well on its own. It has a fantastic flavor, very nice aroma. It looks pretty, it tastes great, and it is very hot. So I think Jay's Peach is one of my favorite because it looks beautiful, and also it tastes really nice. Let's see what else I grow. I'm growing a Reaper crossed with Maruga. I think that's going to be really hot. Lorax. My pepper plants are over a month old, and when I put it in the sun, they wilt. And he thought, yes, it's gonna happen. Anytime you grow your plants inside and then take it outside to put it in the sun, they're going to wilt in the first 15 minutes. If you leave it for an extended period, it could kill the plant. It's normal. All you have to do is just do that every day, and then the plants will slowly get adjusted, and then you can leave it outside permanently. But yeah, that's normal. It's because you probably started inside. The leaves are adjusted to the inside condition. They're much gentler than the outside. The sun is really rough on these baby plants. But if you started the seeds outside, you can leave it outside permanently. And then they as soon as they pop out, they get adjusted to the sun right away. So it depends on where you start the seeds and where you've been keeping it. Yep, yeah. If you started indoor, make sure you go through the period. You get them acclimated. Put them in the sun for like 15 to 20 minutes. Observe, make sure they're okay. If they slightly wilt, take it out, put it back inside, and then the next day do it again. And then 1 week after that, it should be fine. Besides hot sauce, what else are you planning to do with your peppers? I make hot sauce. I make salsa. I put it in. I make pickling. You know, I do picklings and I put peppers in there. I make beef jerky. Oh man, I just made a batch of beef jerky a few days ago. It is fantastic. I think I got the ingredients down just right, and the right amount of spice. So you can actually use combination. You know, dry your pepper, and mix and match certain ones. Like I mixed my Sriracha Hornets with my Peach Starkist. So the Hornets gives it amazing heat, and then the Peach Starkist give it nice tropical flavor. And you mix it together, it is so good. And then I put it on pizza. I make beef jerky with it. Let's see, I make those little the Korean side dishes like the kimchi and all that stuff. I make so many things with peppers. So that's a lot of stuff. Side dishes especially. I love those side dishes. You need a recipe for jerky. I actually have a very generic recipe for jerky already. I made a video on that a while back. This is a long time ago, and then since then I actually improved on it. So it's a lot better now. So maybe I should do an updated video on beef jerky. What is the difference between Habanero and Scotch Bonnet? They're very similar as far as the heat. I think the Scotch Bonnet is slightly hotter, but the Scotch Bonnet has a more of a tropical, sweeter flavor. But yeah, they're very similar. Dave, how has becoming a father been? It's been great. The kids are keeping me busy, so that's why I'm not as active as I used to be. So I get I get a lot of people getting upset because I don't respond to messages anymore, and that is because of the children. Dave, thanks for pointing that out. I have Instagram, which I come on and I post and I get off. So I don't respond too often. I get on Facebook, I post, I maybe greet and say a few things here and there, and then I get off. And same thing with YouTube. I make the video, and then sometimes I couldn't respond to the comments, and that is the reason why I get on the weekend when I do my live. That way people can come and ask questions that I may have missed. That way, I'm going to answer it live and right away. Yes, the Food Academy. Yeah, the Scotch Bonnet does have a fruitier flavor. It's actually sweeter too. Scotch Bonnet is actually one of my all-time favorite variety of pepper. I love that thing. It's because you can make so many things with it, and it has such nice flavor, but it also enhanced a lot of the foods that I make because of the nice sweetness. Do you eat super hot chilies? Yes, I do, but not the way like the reviewers, like for example, Johnny Scoville. He could eat like 5 or 6 Reapers and be fine. There's no way I can't even do half of the Reaper, not even a quarter. So I eat mine in small pieces. Is it hard to grow tobacco? What's it good for? Tobacco is very easy to grow. I didn't expect it to be that easy. It's the only thing I grow it for is I am trying to make cigars, and I've been trying to learn it for the past 2 years, and I've failed at it. So eventually I'm gonna get it right. But yeah, that's the only thing I grow it for. Saul, where can you get seeds for my cross? You can go onto Facebook, Pepper Lovers Community, and you can trade there. Let's see. Lorex, Riccardo, Manzano are said that they are only peppers that cannot be cross-pollinated. Yeah, I think you're right. Ricardos are very picky. They have to be, I think, cross within the exact, variety of whatever the species they're in. Yeah. So yeah, definitely go by the chart, the chili pepper crossing chart, and it will give you the best result that way. Are there any hotter varieties that have that have similar flavor to the green jalapenos? The green jalapenos. You want it hotter? There's some jalapenos that are really hot. The thing is that jalapenos come in so many different variations. Sometimes I buy them at the grocery store, and they taste like there's no heat in them. And then sometimes I buy it at a different stores, and they're super crazy hot. The ones that I grow are really nice and crunchy. I forgot what they're called, but yeah, they're really hot. So find somebody you can trade with, and you can get jalapeno varieties that are pretty hot. Oh, there you go. The pepper guru. Thank you for that. Yeah, that's great information for people trying to cross peppers. Sourdough. Could I be the first one to cross a ricotta with a cherry? You know what? I love the ahi cherry. It's one of the most interesting variety that I've grown before, because it is a beautiful variety and it produced a million pods. I mean, there's so many. And the problem with them is, like, picking cherry is just a pain. It's just so small. And you spend like easily a few days picking it. Have I ever tried growing corn? Is it worth it? I have not grown corn personally, but when I was a younger, I used to grow corn with my grandmother, and it's a lot of fun. But I think I don't have the space to grow corn, so that's the reason why I don't usually grow it. I think it might be worth it if if you've never done it before. It'd be something fun to do. Let's see. Wow, we have 78 people, guys. Thank you so much for joining me today. Let's see if you guys have questions that I missed, please type please type them again, and then I'll try to respond. Uh, Inery, how come your Myers lemon have yellow leaves on the top and green leaves at the bottom? You know what? I find a lot of lemons would do that. The young leaves are always the lighter color, and the older leaves are much greener. If they're yellow, that's a problem. But if they're lighter green, like the lighter yellowish green, then it's okay. That seems to be how lemon grows. Ahmed, what's the best pepper to cross with a bird's eye pepper? You know what? I actually crossed a bird's eye with a Scotch bonnet, and it usually is not supposed to work, but I did it, and it worked, and I did it both ways. So it came out fantastic. It's great. Know your grow. Thank you for stopping by, my friend. Have a good day. How's the direct container composting going? It actually is going pretty well. I was very surprised. What the cool thing is, like, I'll put a bunch of stuff in the compost bin, right? And then I'll add a little bit of soil on the top. And then a week later, it'll compost down all the way to the bottom almost. And then I'll add more and I'll add more and I do the same thing. And it's really interesting to see how this little composting bin works that way. It breaks down everything in a matter of weeks, and then you add new stuff. It's very cool. So I'm gonna keep doing that throughout the season. Maybe I'll do one where I don't fertilize and I just use that compost method, and then test them out against each other and see. Anthony, thank you for joining me. Uh, do you clone your peppers to keep genetics? Yes, I clone peppers all the time. It's not because I'm trying to keep the genetics. It's usually because I grow one plant and then it turned out to be one of my favorite that I love so much, and I didn't want to start over from seeds. So I cut the branch and I clone it, and I would put it into hydroponic, and then trying to boost the growth and get it to grow really fast. And then I put it back in soil. And then I have like 2 or 3 plants. So yeah, I do that every season. Propagating, cloning, whatever term you prefer. Hugh Dillon, you cross a ghost with a reaper and ate one. Ghost by itself is already hot, and a reaper by itself is already hot. So I would imagine that your cross would be crazy hot. Yeah, guys, cheers. Thanks for joining me today. What was your first cross? I think the first cross I ever created was, oh man, I don't remember. But one of the first one was the sweet misery, that variety, and I still grow it to this day. It's really cool. It's a Thai cross with a Scotch bonnet. That's one of the first few ones. Um, the lemon starburst I did pretty long ago. It's not the first, but it's one of the probably the first 10 maybe. Tony, thanks for joining us. I'm glad you're here. Know your grow. Have a good week, my friend. Good to see you. Let's see. So I'll read more of the comments and see. How big of a pots do you prefer to grow in? Usually, I keep it around 5 to 10 gallons at the most. Yeah, 5 to 10 gallons is will give you a really nice pepper plant. The ones, a few peppers that I'm growing in like a 15 gallons is for a contest. So if I'm doing contests and stuff like that, I put them into 15 to 20 gallons just to try to get the plants as large as possible. But yeah, pepper plants, you can grow them in 5 gallons and they will produce a good amount of pods for you, especially if you pick a certain varieties. Like, for example, if you pick like the Tabasco variety, for example, one plant in a 5 gallons will give you like hundreds of pods. Thai peppers will give you a lot of pods. Some of the ahi varieties, like the ahi cherpita, those are really prolific, so they will give you a ton of pods in just a 5 gallon. Do you have a preference between ground or pots? I do have a preference. I love to grow them in the ground, but the problem is, like in Texas weather where I am and where I put the plants, in the summertime, it can get up to like 99, 100, 105 degrees. It'll torch my peppers. So sometimes I have to grow a certain variety in the pot so that I can move it around, put them in the shade when the heat gets to like the 100 degrees. And we do get 100 degrees like very, very often. Like sometimes it will last for like a few days or weeks. So 90 and above is very common in Texas. So that is the reason why I love to grow them in pots so I can move them. Let's see. You heard it's better to grow in a short and wide area for the roots. Any wisdom? Uh, pepper plants can get really deep roots. So, and you can grow them in short and wide, and it still will work the same. But if it just depends. If you grow them in the ground, their roots will dig pretty deep. But then they don't go that far, so I guess the wide and short ones should work just fine. Any cross with serranos? A friend of mine crossed a serrano with a Thai pepper. He called it the Tyrano, and I grew it 1 year. I grew like a few plants. It actually turned out really cool. I love serranos, by the way. They're one of my favorite pepper variety to grow because they're easy. They produce a lot, and they taste so good. They're nice and crunchy. It has a perfect amount of kick, and I make a lot of like pepper pickles. With those serranos. Yeah. So I, I had two serranos growing, but something ate it, so I lost it. So I got to start over. I need to grow my serranos again. But yeah, serranos are a fantastic variety. Yes, the urban gardener, my friend. The shade cloth is awesome when you have temperature like ours. It's probably a good thing to have. Is there any pepper that tastes close to a tomato? No, but it does. There are peppers that taste closer to fruits. Like for example, have you tried the sweet apple? The sweet apple peppers are really nice and sweet, and they have a texture of a bell pepper, but the sweetness of like a fruit. I mean, not that super sweet, but it's very sweet for a pepper. As far as tasting like a tomato, I don't know any peppers that taste like a tomato. But sweet peppers for sure, like the California Wonder Bells are great because they're nice and sweet, a little bit of a bell flavor. If you like a little bit of heat, there's a Brazilian starfish pepper that tastes fantastic. I love those things. And I'm growing, I think, 4 or 5 Brazilian starfish this year, They're super sweet. They taste so good, and they're so nice and crunchy, guys. It almost like you eat a fruit, right? And then you have a little bit of a kick. That's it. That's what a Brazilian starfish tastes like. Very nice and crunchy. So if you have not tried a Brazilian starfish, highly recommend try and grow one. Yeah, Sean, serranos are super highly productive plants. They produce a lot. Enoch, I'm glad you're growing a bunch of the KS varieties. I can't wait to see them in your updates. Guys, the Urban Gardener here, he has a YouTube channel, fantastic channel. Check him out, guys. He does a lot of stuff, not just peppers, but gardening in general. So he does interviews with very famous people too, like the really famous gardening people. that So check him out, the Urban Gardener. So this year, some varieties that I grow for the first time, like the California Reaper. I'm really excited about that one. So I've had it before because a friend sent it to me, but I haven't grown it myself. So the pods are so pretty. I just want to grow it, and I got seeds from Peter Stanley, and I have two plants growing right now for the California Reaper. And let's see what else I have. A lot of the Lingria. I love the Lingria because it grows so cool. And of course, the usual, the lemon starburst, the scarlet rose, and the peach star kiss. Those are the trio. They're from the same family, and they grow really cool. And I love growing the white Thai, so I grow like I think I have like 15 white Thai plants right now. I just grow so many of those. Dylan, I don't have any reapers, but they're very common. If you go onto Pepper Lovers community, find people there. There's also a Pepper Lovers community marketplace where they sell hot sauce, peppers, fresh stuff that they grow in the garden. So you can actually buy a bunch of reapers and stuff like that. They're very good price too. Like I usually buy like flat rate boxes, and the people would stuff the flat rate boxes with lots and lots of peppers, and then they'll just ship it to you. Even though sometimes uh, I buy a bunch, even though I already have peppers, just to support the guys there. Warhog, you ugly. Yes, thank you very much, my friend. I guess there's just people trolling here. The Starburst doesn't really like crossing with Annuum. Yes, because the Chinanthes and Annuums are a little bit difficult to cross, but it may work. I think people have done it before. Pajama Girls, thank you so much for the donation. Long time friend, first time on the live stream. I'm getting an air garden. Been watching your videos for tips and inspiration. Thanks for the contest. That's great. Air garden is a lot of fun. Once you get started, you're gonna want to grow everything. It's a great way to get into hydroponic because it's very easy. You can grow lots of herbs, lots of even lettuce. You can grow like a few head of lettuce in there. I've grown tomatoes in there, but if you're gonna grow tomatoes, try to get the tiny tom or whatever they call the little ones. And you can also grow peppers too. So yeah, there's so many things you can do, and it's really easy. Allison, thank you so much. Any crosses with a black pearl? That would be cool. I've grown the black pearl before. I love those things. They're really cute and ornamental plants. Hydroponic could be very difficult and intimidating, but it's actually really, really easy. Keep things really simple. Like if you don't want to buy a unit, you can actually make your own. Light setups are really cheap these days. You can get a few light bulbs, and then you can start growing herbs. So, start with basil. I recommend starting with basil because it's really easy. It grows fast, and they're just amazing plants that you can also clone and grow a whole bunch of them. And once you successfully grow a basil plant, you're going to want to grow a bunch of other stuff. So start with something easy. Dylan, you're right. Yeah, there's always someone that's gonna hate you for any reason. So yeah, I just usually ignore them because they don't really bother me. Murray G from Amsterdam, good to have you here. Eric, you're right. It's like dancing. Once you get it, you go. You are absolutely right, Eric. Because dancing is really tough. It could be very intimidating, to get into the rhythm. And then once you get it, then you get it. And then you want to go dancing all the time. Yeah, Sean, life is too short to hate. Yes. Yeah, I mean, don't let it bother you. Just as it doesn't matter how perfect you are, there's always someone that's going to hate you. Let's see. Aphids also ate my basil. Oh wow, you got aphids on your basil too? Yeah, aphids they'll eat everything. They don't. Aphids are crazy. They'll eat anything. But the one thing that aphids don't like that I find in the garden is romaine lettuce. They for some reason I think they hate romaine. I have all of these other plants around, right? And I also grow a bunch of romaine. And there's aphids on everything except romaine. So yeah, they don't like romaine, which is cool because I love romaine. I grow a whole bunch of it, and aphids never bother them. They love radishes. They love all of the brassica, um, and especially they love cabbages and what is it? Yeah, and any of those families. That aphid is just a huge thing. Drew, Kingstar yellows are awesome. I have, I think, 4 Kingstar yellow right now. So maybe we can compare notes later. I'll show you my plants, and then you can show me yours. Drops, isn't that crazy? Aphids just don't like lettuce for some reason. I think they just don't prefer lettuce. So again, there's romaine that they don't like, but also I grow a salad bowl lettuce, and aphids just don't care for them. Oh, YouTube recommended the channel to you. Great. I'm glad they did, and I'm glad you joined. Thanks for being here. What is my experience with the 7-pot chonga? No, no, have not experienced that, but I grew 7 pots, douglas, and a bunch of the other 7 pots. But I have not seen that specific variety, Eric. So no idea. Christopher is truly a scientist, maybe a mad scientist. He's very into technical stuff. Kent, your sugar rush is just starting to flower, waiting for fruits. Sugar rush is one of those variety that would flower and easily and fruit really easily, but waiting for it to ripe would take you a few months. They take forever to ripe. That's the thing about a sugar rush. They're fun to grow. They're easy to grow, but waiting for them to be ready is like, is like watching paint dry. Something about gardening, yes, I do grow a bunch of ornamental peppers. But one time I saw the ornamental pepper called the sangria, and I love the way it looks. So I took the sangria and I crossed it with my linzo, so it became the lingria. And so now I have a tasty variety of ornamental pepper. It's no longer. It has a lot of heat though, so I guess it's not ornamental anymore. Allison, anything hotter than a habanero is too hot for me as well. But I grow it because I love all kinds of peppers. But as far as eating it, I can only eat a little bit at a time. Yes, paint dries faster than the sugar rush. That's funny, sourdough. You're right, my friend. What is my latest cross? I have the Lingria crossed with the white tie. I have my Starscream chocolate crossed with the Linzo, and those are so cool. They have thorns everywhere, so I'm going to show you that very soon. But anyway, y'all, I have to get going now. My baby's awake, so it's good to have everyone here. So thank you for joining me, and I will probably do this again next weekend. Bye, y'all.